Hey, what's up, guys? Christopher Stolle. Welcome back to the Chris Stolle Show off the books. And I have a special guest with me. She co hosts with me on some of the other podcasts that I do, but her and I had to sit down and discuss this one. Obviously, it's election night. So, welcome for me from Colorado, Miss Serenity Stone.
Hey, what's going on, Chris?
Hey, so yeah, this one, it's election night, and we're keeping a close eye. And I mean, as Serenity said earlier to me on the phone, this can be extremely historic. And I'm not necessarily saying that this is going to be historic in a good or terrible way, and I don't want people to take it out on us. We're going to express some points of view. I don't necessarily know if Serenity is as conservative as I am when it comes to things, especially like I'm not going to lie to you. In fact, I'll even put it on camera. Give me 1 second here. I am a Trump supporter. I just put my Trump 2020 hat on, so there's no mistaking it. I am a Trump supporter. With that said, though, I'm not going to sit here and just ride the Trump train and not report the news as we're able to find it. And I know for a fact right now that I am watching the Fox 29 live stream of the Race to 270, which is basically they keep the map up and show you who won what states with red or blue. And the battleground states, as they're called, are still in yellow, and everybody else is in gray. And right now, Trump just moved up again, so now it's 91 Biden and 77 Trump. So he was taking a beating in this mapping earlier, but he has been slowly creeping back up on it. So, and while I keep an eye on that, I'm going to keep that up. I have that on my phone, so that way I'm not eating the bandwidth of the recording here. Serenity is keeping an eye on pretty much all the other channels. So, Serenity, if you want to give a rundown of what you're finding so far.
Well, what is it? The Magnificent Seven, the top seven news stations obviously have taken over, and each one has different votes, like different numbers. I'm on CNN right now that says Biden has 30 and Trump has 42, where you're seeing Biden has 91 and Trump just went up. So different news stations are projecting it differently, and I haven't seen any two alike.
Well,
So I think that it really depends on where you're at if you have local news, because in Colorado we're not really doing any local news. All the local is on their national mother station.
and as I'm understanding it right now, this is all, for lack of a better term. And I'm by no means a political scientist or anything. I don't follow politics. It's new for me to follow politics. I used to not give a shit about politics. The last 4 years made me care about politics, mainly because of the fact of how people reacted to President Trump being elected, and all the shit that came out about Hillary Clinton, and all the shit that came out about Donald Trump that turned out to be false, which was the Democrats straw manning arguments or coming up with false narratives to try to discredit this president. That forced me to pay attention to politics, and that's why I discuss them now. Beforehand, I was never into politics, so forgive my ignorance in certain things. But right now, what we're looking at, and correct me if I'm wrong on this, Serenity, if you know better than I do, but we're kind of looking at the popular vote yet. We're not necessarily seeing the electoral counts as well, right?
Well, right now each state has a different system of doing it, but what they're trying to do is all the votes that they got from mail-in ballots, they opened them up today, and they have mostly machines that count them. So a lot of those are coming in, but they're each coming in by county. So each county is reporting right now, and that's where we're getting all of our numbers and our projections is because the counties are all coming in, where Florida looks like it's a really close vote. If you look at the counties, it's like Miami. Miami is going blue, but most of Florida looks red. So it's all about the mail-in ballot and who showed up in person, because I don't think we'll know for a few days what the actual vote for popular vote is.
Well, you bring up something that worries me, and I know it's been a subject of contention for a lot of people, is the mail-in ballot. A new thing we're doing this year because of the COVID-19. There's been early balloting, and there's been mail-in ballots. You know, which usually did not happen unless you were an absentee, for example, like if you were a soldier overseas. And there's been a lot of worry of voter tampering with that. Because again, people voting early, mailing it in, yeah, they claim they're opening them and counting them today, but who's to say they didn't open them, see it was a Trump supporter or a Biden voter, and decide to switch it up to fit their county's narrative of who they want to win. Is this something you worry about as well? I mean, is this really a safe and foolproof way of guaranteeing a fair election?
I've been doing a mail-in ballot for many elections now. So for me, I kind of trust the system because I've seen that my state has voted the way that I expected it to vote. But I think that in years where there's so much upheaval and so many different voices wanting to be heard with so many, Antifa and all this other just groups trying to shut down the vote, you have to wonder if there was any corruption because they could just corrupt one person in every county and they could change the vote and the outcome.
Exactly, and I'm being fair when I say that they open up the ballots early and they see, okay, I voted for Trump. They don't want Trump to win, so they change my vote to Biden. That's more likely than somebody who sees a Biden, and changes it over to Trump. And it's because of the actions, especially for the past 4 years, of people who are left leaning. And I mean, you only have to look as early as yesterday with things of like riots and constant screaming, the Russian hoax, which led to a impeachment that didn't even really stick. And I mean, all around, we have seen nothing but battles against this president and anybody who would possibly even remotely support this president, to the point that if he wins tonight, states, yours and mine, have already locked everything down. I just found out that the National Guard is up in northern Northeast Philly over at the Philadelphia Mills Mall, which used to be Franklin Mills for people from my area. They're already setting up in case Trump wins because they are expecting election riots.
Well, they're set up all over the country, and they've actually helped out in a few states. I know that there was some misprints on the ballots that happened in Wisconsin, and the National Guard came in order to get the correct ballots to the people in order for them to vote in time. So they did something good. They helped it actually vote, so they were able to vote. But at the same time, is the National Guard legally supposed to be on our soil? I think that's what posse comitatus. You're not allowed to have military personnel doing anything active on American soil.
I think because it's a police action, I don't think it falls under, like if we had the Army, for example, deploy on American soil. National Guard is right now acting as basically law enforcement helping the police department. So I think that falls under a completely different category. I'm not
Okay, so let's go
entirely
into a
sure I'm
different
correct.
scenario here.
Yeah, so I'm not
Let's just
sure.
go into a different scenario here.
Okay.
That's talking more about what the military could be doing. I know that there's a wall around the White House. There's a war room, a political war room for the campaign in the Oval Office tonight, which has probably never been done in history. I mean, that's just, you don't campaign from the White House.
Right.
So I think that there could be a coup going on. I mean, we've all heard about what's going on and, the fact that there could be a democratic upheaval if Biden doesn't win. So I'm sure that a lot of politicians might think they're doing their civil duty by maybe changing the outcome so that way we remain civil and maybe there is a coup going on.
See, well, that's a lot of things that have to be taken into consideration. I agree with you that there's a coup going on. I think it's been going on for the past 4 years. I think it's been going on longer than that, but it's been more exposed in the last 4 years, and it's really kind of shown people in a new light as far as whether you're for everything that has been going on or you're against it, and the way people react to it. For example, which, by the way, according to Fox's Race to 20, things have just jumped now. Biden is up by 129, Trump at 94 in the race to 270. Biden took
I'm
Colorado.
at Biden took Colorado?
Biden took Colorado.
Okay. So I'm on NBC News where it's still at 80 for Biden and 48 to Trump.
Okay, well,
Exact same moment. Why is there different news?
I'm not sure, but they're showing right now the newest states that's shown up to give the new numbers is Colorado is blue, Wyoming, Nebraska, South and North Dakota went red. So
Wow.
that's what Fox is reporting, and local Fox, not like Fox News on cable, but local network television. Fox is reporting that. So here in Philadelphia. So just for people to be clear.
Well, I have Texas at a 0.5% gap for Biden with 65% in right now. So a lot of states are so close that they're actually not going to be determined until after the election when they make sure they count every single vote.
Right. All this
This is like the rush.
yeah, this is all preliminary right now. Everything that's coming up right now is not necessarily set in stone. And yes, I would say that exact same thing if the numbers were flipped. So before anybody right off the bat, watches this video and says, "Oh, he's a Trump supporter," of course he's going to say it's not set in stone. No, if the 129 that I'm showing was Trump and not Biden, I'd say the exact same thing. Until all ballots are finalized in their counting, and the electoral college has been taken into factor as well for the smaller states, the smaller counties to have their voice, because a lot of them do get drowned out by the bigger states like California, New York, and the like. Until all those totals are in, we won't know for a fact if it's Trump or Biden. I want to be clear on that. But we were talking about the coup. And I mean, again, we've seen riots from an increase of police shootings. We've seen riots from Antifa and BLM where they've actually declared their own country in places like Seattle. We've seen constant attacks against people for wearing a MAGA hat or expressing their opinion that they are a Trump supporter. We've seen innocent bystanders beaten with like bicycle chains. And this coup has already been happening. It's the last 4 years, it's really been brought to the forefront. And I think it's funny when we're talking about we're setting up for riots from this election. The only way I see riots happening is if Joe Biden loses, because then every sore loser that voted for Biden that wanted Trump out so bad is going to be the ones going out in the streets and doing it. If Trump loses, I don't see a conservative going out and rioting. They've never done it.
I
You know what I
agree
mean?
with you fully, actually. I don't think that there will be huge riots if Trump loses. I think that he will want a recount, but I don't think that that's unfair.
Right. But overall, I don't. Everybody always acts like the conservative mindset. The people who support Donald Trump are the ones that advocate for like racism and violence and wanting to take this, that, and the other away from this, that, and the other. But in practice, it's always been those on the left. Always. I'll be honest with you. In the last 4 years, with how much hate Donald Trump has taken, I'm shocked nobody has taken a shot at him. I'm shocked we haven't seen an assassination attempt.
Okay,
And that's sad to
that is
say.
100% true because have you seen how many people are calling for RIP Trump. Like for months now, I've seen Democrats, very passionate people that aren't young, that are older, that are calling for Trump's head. And that's just crazy. That's our that's our president. I mean, no matter who you are, isn't that some sort of an illegal activity when you call for the death of your own president?
Technically, it's supposed to be, but so is acting against the interests of the United States of America. Case in point, like Hillary Clinton, where it's blatantly proven that she's been a traitor to the country, but nobody's done anything about her. You know what I mean? But I mean,
Well, it's
look at the people who have been assassinated or attempted assassination. You have, of course, the most famous is Abraham Lincoln, who was killed by Aaron Burr because of the fact that he freed the slaves. You have a Republican president, by the way, who got shot and killed by a Democrat. You have Ronald Reagan was taking shots at, for his stances again, another Republican. I mean, Jesus Christ, that wasn't there even shots at Bush? Missed, but even wasn't there even shots at Bush Jr. Or am I thinking wrong in that?
honestly, I don't keep up on the bushes. I'm not that kind of a stalker. I like to be the one on your front porch knocking on the door, not the one hiding behind the bushes. So,
Fair enough. By the way, you're
um,
out of milk. No, no, I don't mean it because of keeping up with the Bushes. I know you and I both were not fans of George W. in any way, shape, or form. But the point is that most of the people who had a major issue with the standing president to the point of causing violence or harm to that president, it was always a Republican president. And it was always
yeah.
some crazy liberal. And I use the term liberal instead of Democrat because your family, for an example, I know this, personally, your family were always very, very Democratic. They were always very liberal mindset. But they were, at least when I knew them, they were the typical Democrat, which was I may not agree with what you say, but I defend your right to say it. That's not the liberals of today. I think that's lost in the Democratic Party. I think the liberals of today are so extreme that I don't agree with what you say, and if you don't change it, I will dox you, I will ruin your life, I will destroy your livelihood. Am I wrong?
I um I think that Democrats, since Trump has come into office, have become a lot more verbal and made it where you have to be a lot less verbal if you're a Trumper. I don't know, like I hear a lot more Democrats speaking out than I hear Trump's this election.
Well, I think because of the fact that a lot of Republicans, especially when you're talking about the middle of the country, where Republicans are truly dominant, the heartland, if you will, you know, um, they let their actions speak louder than their words. Of course, you got your loudmouths and your people that will report on it. Steven Crowder, Ben Shapiro, and I don't mean to call them loudmouths. Alex Jones is a loudmouth. I don't mean to call them loudmouths because of the fact that they speak loudly, but they speak for the conservative point of view. But they're few and far in between, where every person with a Twitter account or YouTube channel is screaming for Biden, 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 Green New Deal, Green New Deal, Green New Deal, Trump is trash, Trump is trash, Trump is trash. And to the point that if you say, what are you talking about, or you prove somebody wrong, all of a sudden they're giving out your personal information for people to come to your door and lynch you. And I'm not even exaggerating that. Look at what
I
happened to the one reporter for Fox News, Carson Tucker. They released his address, his home address, and had people trying to break into his home with his wife and child hiding in a closet. All because he was a conservative contributor to Fox News.
Yeah, unfortunately, I don't think this is a day and age where you're allowed to have your own opinions and be safe because there's all these radical movements like the Sunshine Movement, which is democratic, and then the Antifa, and just all these different groups are fighting to have their voice being heard. And honestly, I think that the reason that we're not hearing a lot of what's going on to real people is because it's not being reported on. I think that they're only reporting on what they want to, including Fox News, which used to be very Republican, where CNN or MSNBC or whatever would be different. It's becoming where they're all almost the same, and you can't really have an opinion anymore unless it's the one that they want you to have.
No, you're absolutely right. Well, I mean, the fact of the matter is like things like ABC and CNN are owned by the Disney Corporation, which are extremely liberal. But here's something that shocks a lot of people because, of course, if you talk bad on the big ones, ABC, NBC, CNN, MSNBC, blah 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 blah, which are very liberal. Of course, everybody's going to turn around and attack Fox because Fox is very conservative. Not anymore. You have a couple conservative viewpoint shows, but Fox is owned by the Disney Corporation now, and you don't think they're enforcing that as well? The fact of the matter is, you cannot get truth from the mainstream media, and the only way you can is to look at all of them and find the common points, because if they're reporting truth, they're only reporting half truths to fit their narratives, and you literally have to dig to find the truth. And
Okay, so
that's the
let
sad
me ask
part.
you, do you believe that the news reported correctly or incorrectly with the Hunter Biden hard drives? Do you think that there was enough coverage, not enough coverage, cover up? What do you think about this
I don't think there was
hard
enough.
drive situation?
I don't think there's enough. He supposedly on these hard drives, there is information besides the pedophilia and everything else. There is information of his father's collusion into things and involvement into things and his knowledge into things that Hunter was doing with uh, foreign officials of countries that are not in good standing with the United States of America. And if this is factual, why the hell has the DOJ not acted upon this? Why has Trump not screened for it to actually be? And why is not every news source turning around and split? That would be huge news. Huge news with one exception. It goes against their narrative of wanting to push that Biden is the better choice for president. They hate Trump so much they
Well,
would cover up or at least lie by omission, I think would be the correct terminology.
yeah.
Lie by omission the facts of what's on that hard drive or hard drives as it works. I understand there was like three of them.
I believe there's three of them, but I also believe that it was given to news outlets and that there was a choice that was made to, like, before every election, it seems kind of the pattern. You air out your laundry and you put all the crap that you actually did do out there, and your party will defend you. You don't even have to say that it's a lie. Your party will say that it's a lie. Therefore, you're not actually saying anything about it, but it's like they're using it just to get his dirty laundry out there. And then after the election, if Trump wins, hopefully those 44,000 indictments come down. And I'm sure he and Hunter are both one of those
Win or lose,
indictments. But
I think those indictments are coming down just because and I think a lot of the career politicians within Washington D.C., past and present, are going to be into a world of trouble because the people got to remember, if tonight Trump loses or wins, does not matter. He is still president until January. That's when Biden would take over office and be sworn in, right? Well, between November
correct.
and January, you don't think Trump's going to put all that shit in motion? You think
Well, okay,
he'll
he's already
release,
started.
right, but I'm saying he'll release his power in January if he loses. I know he'll do that. But you think he's going to go away quietly saying, "Well, I lost, so I'm not going to do anything?" Fuck that. That's not the Donald Trump I voted for. He's going to go out
The
making as
thing
much
is,
noise as he
well,
can.
the as far as I've heard from the Trump camp about those 44,000 is they're dropping. They're just dropping because of coronavirus. They're dropping more secretly, and I could actually send it to you, but I I have like a code word thing for uh, the people that have been taken in just for questioning or they're actually indicted. There's like key words that you're supposed to be looking for about it. But I do think that the indictments are all going to come down, but just like the indictments on Hillary Clinton, they weren't able to make all of it stick. So that's what we need to be more concerned with.
Well, again, that goes back. That goes back to you know the people within the Department of Justice doing their jobs. If there's evidence there, the only reason it didn't stick was because you didn't pursue it. Like with Hillary's a perfect example. Her 33,000 emails that she fucking whitewashed, that she bleached out of the system, that she was subpoenaed to release, and instead of releasing them, she wiped the hard drives and bleached them to make sure that they would never be,
Oops.
never be looked at. That is at minimum obstruction of justice, and she didn't even get called on that. That is a failure on the Department of Justice because the Department of Justice was protecting Hillary Clinton. That is
But
a plain
like,
and simple fact.
okay,
If I had
just like
dirty
Donald
pictures,
Trump says, he needs to drain the swamp. So what he's talking about, the swamp, is Hillary Clinton's in the world, the people that are in politics that have other agendas. Like everyone's saying fire Fauci. Well, the reason I would agree with that is because he's working with Bill Gates. I don't
right?
think you should have someone's outcome in mind other than the American people.
No, you're absolutely right. And I mean, as an example for what happened with Hillary Clinton, as an example, if on my cell phone right now or on my laptop or desktop right now, if I had dirty pictures of underage girls, and for the sake of argument, the Department of Justice, the FBI, the ICE, or Homeland Security, which dealt with a lot of the cyber pedophilia crimes, if they came after me for it and I wiped my hard drive, do you think they would turn around and say, well, we don't have any evidence anymore and we'll let you go? Fuck no, they wouldn't. Fuck no, they wouldn't. They would slap me for
No.
obstruction of justice, first off, and then they would still find a way of getting that information. So why did Hillary Clinton get away with it?
Well, I wouldn't say she's quite gotten away with it. I do know that out of these 44,000 indictments, they are all, well, they're innocent until proven guilty into a public court, but the tribunal, which is pretty much the level that it's been declared at, has already decided that they're guilty. So they already have the proof. They just haven't made it public. And they have to drop in the right order. If one drops before another, they could set and trigger something horrific, or something where people are able to flee, or maybe this pedophile ring is able to get away with 500,000 kids where we could have prevented them from escaping if we just have it drop in the right order. So I do think that Trump has it all lined up. It's just the order that it drops in is very important. Just like right now, it looks like, I mean, this election is just crazy because depending on what channel you look at is what the outcome is. But on CNN, for example, they're reporting 80 Biden, 51 Trump. Okay, what does yours currently say?
It's still at 129 and 94. Nothing has changed
Okay,
since the last time I reported.
well, then we have NBC. That was CNN. Then we're going to NBC now. And it has, oh, they're on. We're talking about Georgia. I want some peaches. Ooh, that sounds really good right now.
Isn't
Um,
Georgia? No, Georgia's still under battleground. So yeah, on this one they haven't cleared that out yet.
okay, 89 to 54 is NBC. Biden is 89,
All right.
and then Trump is 54 on NBC.
Well, while you're looking through
And
this, let me
then
ask you a question. How many of these Biden voters are because of the fact they're paying attention to the issues and have formed an opinion, do you think? And how many of them are just simply orange man bad? Because even watching like the stream that I'm watching here on Facebook for Fox News, a lot of what I'm seeing from people like commenting on it, most of the Biden supporters are simply because I hate Trump. They're not making any arguments on why Biden would be the better choice for president. You know what I mean? And half
okay,
and half the
so
time
there's
half the time their arguments are, well, what has Trump done? Well, we can run down the list of what Trump's done. What has Biden ever done in 47
there are
years?
some differences. No, there are some differences in what they're running on. I think that the Democrats are coming from more of a place of fear. So anyone that sits there and kind of watches the news and agrees with whatever the View and the morning shows say, I would say that they're coming more of from a place of fear when they're voting. And let it be Democrat or Republican, those people probably pre-voted. You know, they don't want to go to the voting booth because they're too afraid of coronavirus. So I do think that we won't actually get any good information until probably 10 p.m. tonight, and I'm in Colorado. But we
Right.
could see that it's so close in so many states where I have heard outright so many people talking about how they're going to vote for Trump. I know a lot of people voting for Trump, and then I know a lot of people who thought that Trump was a bully and the way that he acted, especially in the first um, debate. They immediately sent in their vote for Biden, where Trump used to say, you know, like, go ahead, mail in your vote. They decided, okay, maybe we shouldn't say that because Republicans weren't getting any of the vote. The Democrats were. So all these votes that are going to be counted later are probably going to be going for whatever candidate it was that the mail in ballots went through. Even though Trump tried to get as many as he could, I don't know how many people actually voted for Trump through the mail.
Fair enough. And I know in the first debate Trump was well, less than cordial, which is normal for Donald. Let's be fair, and you're right. He is a bully in the sense of like he was that way even with Hillary Clinton. He didn't put up with bullshit. And every time that Biden would try to spread some sort of lie or take credit for something that Trump did, Trump called him on it. And in that first, to be fair, in that first debate, I watched both debates. And that first debate, Trump wasn't just battling Joe Biden; he was battling that moderator too. That
Oh
moderator
God,
was absolutely leftist all the way, and attacking Trump.
I
It was a battle for Trump. I think we had a
yeah,
better
but
debate the
Trump
second
is in
time
a
around.
battle with media. Let's agree here that Trump is already at battle with all these major news stations.
True.
So why would they side with him when he's told them several times to go, you know, leave the property and kick him out of a different event or different, you know, broadcastings where he won't let him in at all.
Well, when you're constantly reporting false news about his positions or spreading the fear of things like Trump being a racist, which has never been in Trump's repertoire until he was president. You know,
Oh,
how many times has the guy been awarded by like the NAACP and all that for his contributions and his works towards communities of minorities, and then all of a sudden he's a racist. You know what I mean?
I actually,
Just
yeah,
because he ran as a
no,
Republican. Yeah.
I have a friend who actually posted on Facebook, and he posts from every angle, every side, including like Joe Jorgensen and even probably some Kanye West. You know, like
Right.
it's not like he's outright you know I'm for Trump, you know I'm for Biden. No, he does everything, and he posted something about the Michigan woman, I forget her name, who shut
Oh,
down her entire state, but let her
white
husband go out golfing.
white horse or some shit. I don't remember her name off the top of my head, but I know who you're talking about. Yeah.
So he posted something about that, and immediately a Democrat who is part of my family, I will tell you, Chris, posted on there and called him out and told him that if he doesn't support Joe Biden and basically take down anything about Democrats, that he was a white supremacist. Like, outright said, "You are a white supremacist."
Well, here's one to piss most
And
people off,
he
and
wasn't even saying anything.
here's one that'll that piss most people off. I'm gonna play my race card. I'm gonna play my race card. Serenity, you've known me for over 20 years. What nationality am I? What background am I? German descent.
American.
I'm American, but I'm German descent, right?
I know, but
I'm a
yeah, but
full-blooded.
tonight we're all American.
We're all Americans, but as far as heritage is concerned, I'm a full-blooded German. That's where my
German. Yeah.
family came from. And just like black people hate the N word, Germans hate the N word too. And that's a word that Democrats have been throwing around way too flippantly, especially to people that simply they don't agree with. And that's the Nazi word. Which, first off, if you've studied your history, Nazis were National Socialists, aka liberals, not conservatives. Number one. Number two, using that terminology in any way other than what the Nazi Party actually was is defamation of character to many people and an insult to not only the people that had to suffer the Nazi regime, but especially to people like your heritage, Serenity, who dealt with the after effects and damages that the Nazi regime did. It's a
Yeah,
terrible word to
I
use at
have to say,
anybody.
nothing. I actually was just watching the news today, and they were saying that certain percentages of the American national vote were different races. And like in previous years, it was like 71% was white, and they went down the list. And instead of like 4 years ago, when I remember the same list, it had, white African American, but this year it was white black. There was literally instead of African American, they have black because a lot of people would not prefer the N word, but definitely don't want the African American label put on them either. So it's kind of
Well,
changing. The world is changing when your national vote is declared as a certain
well, I think
race change.
I think the African American label got changed to black because there's been an insurgence of people that are of color that aren't Africans. They aren't African descent. I mean, I know you know people that work in the building maintenance field the same as I did, and a lot of our colored clientele, forgive the term, I'm trying here, clientele were Haitian or Jamaican. They weren't African, so they actually hated the term African American. It felt uninclusive to them.
Well, I think it's uninclusive to anyone because you're saying that they're from another country and they're American just because of the color of their skin. Okay, you shouldn't judge anyone on anything, but people have their own heritage and they have the right to call themselves whatever they want. And right now, because of Black Lives Matter and the everything that's going on in America, I think that it's a very powerful word that they're putting out there, and especially the media, because I see everything, from a PR standpoint, I see everything as a commercial. I've seen COVID-19 since the beginning of March as definitely a play at power. It's something that you would see in an advertisement in order to get you pro or against a certain debater, like Democrat 2020. COVID-19. I mean, there's no difference in it. So this is a big election. I think it's a lot based on fear. So do you think the media put enough fear into the world to have it where people side with Joe Biden? Because I think a lot of Joe Biden's people are so fearful of coronavirus that they want his socialist agenda for the national health care. They want to take away our jobs from the or from the oil industry and give it back to other countries, like we've already discussed with the air. Instead of having us frack for our own, that gives our families actual money. They want to change everything to pre 2016 before we were actually energy and like what is it? What we were talking about it earlier.
Yeah, where they wanted to go wind powered for energy, renewable energy source through windmills. But if you actually do the research of windmill technologies, all the plants that make the windmills are out of country. So you would be sending them back to China. You would be sending them back to wherever they make them. Okay, for them to manufacture it. And then if you actually look at it from a environmentalist standpoint, there are more pollutants released from these factories that make these windmills than the pollutants that happen from fracking, oil drilling, or whatever else that everybody's so worried about, as far as us maintaining our independence and relying on fossil fuels. That is
Hmm.
staggering that people are so hateful of the old regime that they would cost thousands of jobs and ignore what it would do to the environment in name of environmentalism, to turn everything over to the windmill, which I don't get anyway. If we wanted to go with a renewable energy source that could be manufactured in the United States of America that would end fracking, why are we talking about like windmill technology when we already have solar panels, which is another form of
Well,
clean
I
energy?
think that I think that solar panels would be awesome if they. I mean, you get all these deals. I know as a homeowner, I get a lot of people come in and they're asking me, hey, if we put it up there, you'll actually make money off of it. It won't cost you anything. But you still have to pay for the parts and you have to pay for it to be put on your house. And I do have a big enough property where I could just put it in the back 40, but like it takes up room and a lot of America can't afford to do that. I wish that it was cheaper to do solar because I would be completely independent on my own and not want to rely on anyone else. That would be great.
Well, there's always another way around it too. Think of back in the day, and I'll use here in Philadelphia as an example. Where they started giving you choices of your electrical supply company. You don't have to go through Pico as it's known here. You can go with this third party person like NRG, or you can go through this third party person like Appalachian Mountain Company, or whatever company will supply you electricity, and they'll save you money because we'll charge less than our competitors, and we'll charge less than Pico, the main energy company that has a monopoly in the city of Philadelphia. Okay, great, that sounds awesome, until you realize that for them to provide the energy to you, they have to go through the
Senate.
all the wires and all the
Okay.
the poles that belong to Pico, who charges rent for their electricity to come through your house from their poles and lines. So you're getting charged rental fees from Pico.
Hmm.
You
Well,
know?
it's okay. So that's the whole point. Is that's why we don't have something like solar energy, is because that would make you independent. They don't want they. I don't think that the government wants you to be independent because they need the taxes, they need the surplus, they need the money because those that oil is in some way, shape, or form going through government property, whether it be the pipes, the land, or the facilities. That oil somehow is filtering through the government's hands and they're making the money off of it.
Right.
So, or not the oil, but energy, just whatever energy it is, government is making the money from it. And if they let you be energy like sufficient on your own, where else would you be able to be? Like, would you give yourself water? Would you dig down for a well and, make
Oh,
yourself
oh no.
reliant on yourself,
Oh,
where if
oh
you
no.
wanted to, you could go completely off grid?
Oh no, you're not allowed to do that. And when it comes to water, I believe it's state to state, but I do believe both Colorado and Pennsylvania have a law of collecting rainwater could get you 5 years in prison. You are not allowed to be independent of water
Colorado,
source.
okay, so you are allowed to have specific size storage containers in the state of Colorado, but they're only enough to sustain like small gardens. But then there's wells. You could give yourself quite a bit of water through a well if you hook it up to a pump system, because of maintenance. So I think that there's a lot of things if we wanted to, we could do. If we go on complete lockdown and people don't have enough money to pay their water bill, do you think that they're going to just sit at home and do nothing when they could just go in their backyard and dig down and set it up and do it all with their neighbors for free?
Well, that's exactly it. By the way, on the race to 270, Trump is now up to 100 points. Biden is stating at 129. The states that have just turned red are Kansas and Oklahoma.
Okay.
That's
Well,
what I'm showing for Fox 29. So, again, Trump is behind, but he's catching up.
so the main states that we're looking for the decision on would be Florida, Michigan.
Pennsylvania.
What a Pennsylvania.
The
How is Pennsylvania leaning?
I don't know. Looking from the map they have here, New Hampshire, Pennsylvania, Ohio, Michigan, North Carolina, Georgia, Florida, Wyoming, or excuse me, Wisconsin, Minnesota, Iowa, Texas, Arizona, and Nevada are all the battleground states, and thus far nothing has been shown on the map as far as what's going on in those battle states. They're still yellow. Everything that has been reporting in thus far are the gray area states of the country, which have finalized their counts. Where, like I said, in the north, most of the Northeast has been for Biden, but most of the heartland areas have been for Trump. So, but as far as like
Well, I have Colorado at, you said that Colorado was blue, but they're
still is right
reporting that
now.
our percentage in is 44%. And they're just closing doors because some voters you were allowed to get there by 7 and vote. So they're closing all the doors, but like, yeah, not all of our votes could have been counted yet. Colorado's percent in is 44%, but it's also showing that it's a blue state. So do you think that there's any actual answer that we could get out of tonight, or do you think that it's going to be exactly what everyone said, where it's going to be contested and recounted and go on for a few weeks?
Well, you bring up something that's very very important that we haven't discussed yet. Like everybody thinks today's the election day, of course. So in a perfect world, and as it's worked in all presidential elections in the history of the country, by the end of the night tonight or early morning tomorrow, we should have a definitive statement on who is president of the United States, who won the election, right? But they have pointed out that there are some states that have the ability to give an example. States like California can drag this out to the middle of December with recounts. They are legally able to drag this
Well,
out until the middle of December before giving a finalization on the vote tally.
I do have to say that there was a law that was just recently passed that makes it where it could still have two states open. You might want to look it up on your computer, but I think that two states could still be open and they could declare a winner. Even though two states have a lot, I mean, depending on the states, could have a lot of electoral votes, but because of the recounts and what happened in previous elections, they're making it where I think it's up to two states could be undecided when they declare president.
Exactly. Exactly. I mean, there's so many different factors. That's why when I'm looking at this, I don't take this at face value. When I'm looking at this, besides the fact that it's only a map that's changing from gray to red or blue, depending on the state, but it's not giving me any definitive answers. To me, this is all preliminary. And really, until the final tallies are in, and either Joe Biden or Donald Trump say, "Okay, I give," or the local and the national news networks turn around like we have a winner, you can't really know how this is going. We're really just tracking how it's looking thus far. But at the end of the day, like you said, right now, Fox Philadelphia is reporting Colorado as blue. It's Biden won Colorado, but your local network is saying that the counts are still going on. So, to
Yeah.
my mind,
And they're showing
preliminarily,
live coverage.
preliminarily, okay, it looks like Biden's going to win Colorado, but in an hour when they finish counting, it may have to change red. We don't know until the
It
final
depends on the
tally's
voter
in.
turnout for the day.
Right.
Yeah.
So
Let me point out that Fox News is like the national Fox News is at Biden 129, Trump 100
which is
votes.
exactly what I'm watching right
The
now, but it's broadcasted by Fox 29, not necessarily Fox News, the news channel. So it's the local news. But I mean, I guess they're getting their information from Fox News nationally. So
Yeah, well, it's just very different when you turn on something like CNN, where they have Biden at 89, Trump at 54 electoral votes.
well, let's play a little fear mongering of our own, and I don't mean it in a sense of like let's put the fear of God into people. Let's talk about some of the fears that we have for this election. From both sides of the argument. From both sides of the argument. If Biden wins, what do you fear will change in this country? And in turn, what do you fear will happen to this country if Trump wins a second term? Because obviously, there's going to be things that are going to happen after today. Now, whether you view it in a positive light or a negative light, what are some of the things that you fear will happen if Biden or Trump take office?
Um, I believe that Trump is anti-fear and trying to keep the peace and trying to get everyone to stay calm, even though there's a pandemic going on and the news stations are telling you to go out and buy toilet paper again. He's telling everyone it's going to be okay. We got the medication. We'll give it to you for free. Where Biden has ran from a place of basically fear on the coronavirus. So if Biden wins, I'm afraid that we're going to be locked down again. And on the opposite side, if Trump is president, I'm afraid that he will open it up too fast and we'll lose too many lives.
That's fair enough. I'm more fearful if Trump wins. Trump's the easier one to answer. If Trump wins, my fear is that everything we've gone through in the past 4 years of the civil unrest, of the constant riots, the arguments, the divide within the country will remain because Democrats didn't get their way, and they're going to continue to do the same hoopla that they've been doing for the past 4 years. So, unfortunately, my fear is that we're never going to get back to a sense of unity in the country if Trump wins. On the opposite end of the coin, I am scared to death of losing my country if Joe Biden wins. I'm scared to death of losing my Second Amendment rights. I'm scared to death of losing my First Amendment rights because big tech and everything else under Biden would absolutely silence dissenting voices and voices like mine who do not agree with the status quo. I am very fearful of the fact of losing our Constitution and Bill of Rights in general, and this country turning from a constitutional republic into a socialist republic, or better known for most people, communism.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so all these people that believe that national health care like Canada is the way to go, but let's just going back to what we were talking about earlier with history, the last government that had nationalized health care that really had everything kind of flowing and working was Germany. I mean, if we go way back in history, that's who started nationalized healthcare, correct?
Correct. The Nazi movement.
So, yes, that's exactly what I'm speaking about.
I
So,
was being clear
is
for
it
people that
right?
may be like, oh, okay, so Germany proved socialism works. No, we're talking about the Nazi movement.
No, sorry, I don't like using that word, because of my heritage, that's just
Exactly.
something that I'm uncomfortable with. And,
I apologize for
you
making you
know,
uncomfortable with the word, but I figured it was safer coming from somebody of German descent. And yeah, is it better if I refer
yeah,
to it as
like
Third
you could
Reich?
100%,
Is it better if I refer
yeah,
to it
you
as
could
Third Reich?
100% say
It's my word.
it.
No,
That's okay. You
no.
could take that word.
Is it better if I say if I need to clarify for people? Again, if we're mentioning something from Germany's past and they think, well, it proves that socialism works because Germany did it. No, we're talking instead of using the N word. Would it be better if I use like Third Reich or Hitler's
Yeah,
reign?
actually,
Okay, I'll use that. That's fair.
Hitler's regime. Yeah, it would be like, yeah. But either way, like, did that work out too well for everyone? Because once they were in one place, they just thought that they were gods and that they could move to everywhere. So, do we really want our country taken over by government and have it government ran, or do we want it people ran and America run its own country? Um, Trump does want to take out and drain the swamp. Well, if he takes out 50, 60% of America, can we survive?
Sure, because
Probably.
we put the power back into the hands of the people. The problem is this country was designed for, it sounds like a cliche word, but a phrase, but the phrase is for the people by the people. That doesn't mean that we the people vote for some college prick who studied political science and law, who made a career out of it. No, it literally means that somebody like you or me with no prior training could technically be elected as a government official, even president of the United States, because we, the people, felt that you and I, as the candidate, could be, what's the word I'm looking for here? Beneficial to running the country or representing our state, city, municipality, whatever, what have you. Somewhere along the lines, we lost sight of that and decided that career politicians and people who went to school to learn how to lie to us are the only ones that are fit to go into these positions of power. And then the illusion of for the people, by the people, is the fact that we're supposed to vote for them and only them. In this election, say for the sake of argument, I didn't like Trump or Biden, but I liked you. I thought things that you believe matter. I can't write you in. At least it wouldn't be a serious write-in.
Like, yeah, I think that it has to have like six people that write in for that person in order to be counted.
Right. And that's not
you
what
know?
that's not what our constitutional republic stands for.
Okay, that is a key point on the next thing I wanted to talk about the popular vote. Okay, so like you're saying that, each person matters. Does that mean that the popular vote matters? Because I 100% do not agree and believe in the electoral college. I understand it. I believe that it's fair and that the way that we do things are right, but there is a huge movement to put forth the popular vote, which I think that popular vote was like the five or six times in history has popular vote been different than the actual electoral college.
There is a reason behind it, from what I understand of the electoral college, and I'll explain. If we went completely and solely by the popular vote, there are states. If you look at the map of the United States right now, There are states like California, Texas, uh, uh, New York, a couple other ones, which are extremely densely populated. Extremely densely
I
populated. So you get a lot of votes from people from those areas. But then you have other areas, specifically down the middle of the United States, which are very, very rural. They don't, for big states, they don't have a whole lot of people in. And through a popular vote, those states will lose their voice. That's why the electoral college exists, is to make sure that states that are not vastly populated still have a say in the election.
So speaking of states that aren't vastly populated, Ohio, it is at Joe Biden 49.5%, Donald Trump 49.2. That is a 0.3%
Difference.
difference there.
There was a change
Less
on Fox
than,
News. South Carolina just went red, so now it's 129 to 109.
yeah, polls just closed, I think, in some states, correct?
Yeah.
So a lot of what I'm seeing is it's a very close race, even in lower populated cities. But let's say that California all wanted Joe Jorgensen, the third party, or something. That would completely change the race.
Let's be real. When it comes to the Green
Is
Party
that
or
even
the
possible? Is that even possible?
no, it's not because most people. I don't want to. I don't want to be that guy. It is a two-party system, but it's not a two-party system because it's not possible for a third party or a Green Party to win a nomination and become a legitimate threat within the United States as far as like becoming president. The problem is that nobody in the preliminaries takes the third party or the Green Party seriously. And when a Democrat and Republican nominee are put into place, the votes for the Libertarians and the votes for the Green Party and the votes for whoever get absorbed into the two candidates of the Democrat and Republican. That's why I hate to say it, but I mean, it would take the whole entire country to vote for the Green Party or for the third party for it to ever actually happen. And I don't think that'll ever happen because the other parties just do not have the backings. They don't have the lobbyists. They don't have the funding for campaigning and for like media exposure in the sense of like constant ads and interviews and rallies that the Democrats and Republicans are able to pull off. So I hate to say it, but I don't want to use the phrase voting for a third party is a waste of vote. But at the end of the day, thus far, it pretty much is. Because unless everybody supports that third party just gets absorbed.
Well, you're right in the sense of it coming down to just two candidates, but they don't allow the third party to be in the debates. And if they did allow the third party to be in the debates, some of these elections wouldn't be so clear cut. It wouldn't make things so easy. I do completely believe that these parties have been around a long time. Whether you're Democratic or Republican, it's almost like Skull and Bones or the Illuminati. You're kind of barking up the same tree.
Exactly.
So So for me, I mean, like, not saying that a third party is what we need, but in a way, Trump is that third party because he is the businessman.
Yeah,
He's off.
he the
He's
reason
he's off the books of lifelong politician families.
that's why he's so hated by the Democratic Party. And when I speak the Democratic Party right now, I'm not talking about the voters. I'm not talking about liberal people who have voted blue their whole entire life. I literally mean the senators, the congressmen and women, the politicians of the left. That's why they hate Trump. That's why they hate Trump more than anything else, is because Trump is not a politician. Even Republicans are politicians. Even Republicans can be in the pockets of the Democrats. Trump can't. And that's why they hate him. You hit the nail directly on the head with that. Trump is not a politician, and that's what scares the hell out of the American voter, but also scares the hell out of the Democratic left. Is the fact that he cannot be bought or controlled as other candidates have been and have always been with this two-party system, because he is not a politician. And quite honestly, that's the
And
biggest appeal of
therefore,
people like myself, because we got tired. The reason Donald Trump got elected was not because we all think that a woman president would be a terrible idea. No, I know we're close to the day we're going to have a woman president. I say we're going to have a woman president if Joe Biden wins, because I still stand within 90 days Joe Biden will be forced to step down and Kamala Harris will be president. I think woman president
wait,
is
is
right.
Kamala Harris really a woman or a man?
She's supposedly a woman, as far as I know biologically. Um, but I
I've
mean,
seen a few pictures out there of Kamala as a man. So I don't know.
the same argument's been made about Michelle Obama. But I mean, the long and the short of it is I think a legitimate, and I don't consider Kamala Harris in that aspect a legitimate female president is right around the corner. I really do. You get the right person to run, it's a lock. I don't think
No
there's
way.
anything. I don't think there's anything against a female president at all. I think there's a thing against somebody like fucking Hillary Clinton. But if you throw somebody with
Well,
integrity and
she was able
morals,
to.
you throw somebody with integrity
Yeah,
and
well, Hillary
morals,
Clinton,
you got a
she
female
was from a
president.
family that's a politician, a political family.
Right, but a lot of her.
She was set up to run for office. She wasn't. Like, do you think she was a valid candidate, or was she just the woman's choice candidate that they had groomed as a Manchurian candidate for us?
Both. Both, and I think the person that ruined Hillary Clinton's
Mm.
chances of becoming president was Hillary Clinton with her own hypocrisies. That whole entire movement about like all women need to be believed, about rape and everything else, but ignored everything that her husband ever did. Those hypocrisies ruined her. The emails ruined her. Benghazi ruined her. She won't admit it, but that's what ruined her. That's what soured anybody that would have given a female president, including Hillary Clinton, a chance. That's what soured the voters, not Donald Trump. That was what soured the voters against Hillary Clinton. Again, I've stated it blatantly. I believe Trump has, in this election, has a chance of beating Joe Biden. In fact, any rational person would vote for Trump over Joe Biden. However, if the candidate that they would have chosen for the Democratic Party was Michelle Obama, no, I do not think Michelle Obama would be a good president. But she would kick the shit out of Donald Trump. Her popularity is enough that even the Electoral College would not sway it. She would be a female president. Not a good one, but
Mm-hmm.
she would win. Hands down. I wouldn't even
She
I
would
wouldn't even
win.
argue the point. She would win. Hillary Clinton, on the other hand, she was her own worst enemy. And people saw
See,
that.
it's interesting. I have ABC, Biden's at 89, Trump's at 72. They're making it seem like it's very pro-Biden when, I mean, I do know a lot of Democratic people because of my family, but I don't know a lot of people that openly voted for Joe Biden outside of that. I mean, Donald Trump was pretty much everyone in my neighborhood. I'm friends with everyone from blocks around. Everyone I knew said they were voting for Trump.
That's it. I mean, and again, if it turns out that Joe Biden winds up winning the nomination, or the nomination, winning the election, okay, life sucks. I'm still getting up tomorrow and going to work. But at the same indifference, like I can't help from the actions of the last 4 years from the left. I can't help but wonder how much
Sorry.
of it is legitimate. they've done everything, and they have stated that they will do everything to get Trump out of office. Does that include lying about the projections? Does that include falsifying the votes? Does that include not declaring Trump winner even though he has the votes? What ends how
Okay, I'll be
what depths
conspiracy theorist here.
would they go to make sure
What
that Trump's
if
out of office?
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. So what if there's a conspiracy with the computers, which we've talked about in several other years' elections, where computers could be hacked and servers can be hacked? What if the computers, instead of being programmed to count one vote for each person, were point 0.8, point 0.9 for Trump in some states and 1.2 for Biden in others?
If I were Donald Trump, if I were Donald Trump and I lost this election, besides releasing all the shit to drain the swamp in the last 2 months I have in my presidency, I would have a private special group check those votes and those computers for that exact reason. I wouldn't necessarily call for a recount. I'm not necessarily calling for like dragging our feet on the election, the finalization of the election. If it looks like Joe Biden won, fine, Joe Biden won. But I still want it checked before inauguration. I want it double checked. I want to make sure that everything was above board. If I was Donald Trump, that's what I would do. Because I don't trust the system
Well,
right
I
now.
think Yeah, I think either way, there's going to be a drawn out count. But even if Biden wins and declares the winner, do you think that drawn out count could change?
That's I don't know, but that's something I would want to check on if I was Donald Trump and I lost the election, because of the fact that just simply on the fact that the Democratic Party and the mainstream medias and all that have literally quoted themselves in stating that they will do whatever it takes to get Trump out of office. It would call into question the votes and the voting machines. So I would have everything double checked and double counted, regardless of whether it comes out that everything was above board or not. I would have it double checked just to know whether or not it was above board or some shenanigans went into play, because we will do whatever it takes to get him out of office. I would double check it.
I'm kind of a conspiracy theorist. Yeah, I'm kind of a conspiracy theorist where, I mean, I know that the Democrats were under a lot of pressure to win this election. Could it have been bought? Could it have been stolen?
Absolutely.
Um, could it still
Absolutely.
possibly be
Now, I hate
designed?
being a conspiracy
Is that
theorist.
the possibility that we're looking at? Because right now on all stations it's saying that Biden is winning, but I've heard a lot of people voice their vote for Trump.
Well, it's exactly it. I mean, if I go by this map, I'm looking at right here, which you guys can see on
Right.
Fox 29 or Fox News. If you look at this
Exactly.
map, majority of the map that has turned colors is red. Yet somehow, some way, Biden has more numbers than Trump. I question that myself. Of course, I take into consideration that some of the areas like New York or whatever have more densely populated areas, so more votes came from that state than some of the other states that went red. I get that. But overall, you're still there. I still hear you. Do you hear me? I'm still here. Do you hear me? I may have to call Serenity back, so bear with me, guys. Um, so overall, we're calling her back, so you may hear some ringing. Overall, just judging from this, I mean, it does call into question, like, why would you declare Biden above Trump? Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay, I don't know what happened, but I just hung up and called back. Like I was saying, like if you look at this map on Fox News, for example, majority of the states that have turned colors, all right, because there's still, the battleground states, and there's still some gray states that haven't turned yet. But if you went from this map alone, Biden should not be leading because majority of the states that have turned colors are red. But again, you have to take into consideration places like New York, which are blue, have a higher population, a more dense population, so they generate more votes than somebody like Kansas, which is very rural in a lot of places.
Well, I think you vote two electoral college votes per district. So it depends on how many districts you have in your state, and that's by population.
Right. I'm saying
So
right
everything is
now,
determined kind of.
that's what I'm saying. Right now, everything is popular vote. Electoral college isn't even in play yet. This is all just, the voting booths and mail-in ballots getting counted. So, again, a lot of these places that are red right now, the electoral college, let's be fair, the electoral college is going to account for every state. But, for the two states closest together, as I'm looking at the map here, the electoral college could be the one that turns Colorado red or turns Kansas blue.
It could be. Let me call you back, okay?
Yeah. In fact, we're going to
All
go
right.
ahead and end this
Bye.
episode right now as Serenity is jumping off. Guys, we're going to keep an eye on this. And, of course, if anything changes or transpires, we will come back for more covers. But what do you guys think of the overall election thus far, and what's your takes and what's your fears? Everything that we discussed right now, we want to hear from you guys. So make sure you're sending it out to us. Let us know what's going on in your minds. Leave a comment down below. Like, subscribe, share. We guys, I love the fact that I'm doing this for you guys now, because of the fact that I love being able to be a part of this and have a conversation with people. And that's what I want to have, is a conversation. I don't want to have a battle with somebody who looks at my Trump hat and says, oh, I'm automatically a racist, or I'm automatically this, that, or the other. I don't want that. What I want is somebody who wants to turn around and explain to me why they think the way they think, and allow me to explain why I think the way I think, and see if we can't find a common ground. That is the point of this show. So I really hope you guys are enjoying what I'm presenting here. I hope I'm able to bring that type of conversation to you guys. But as I said, we will keep an eye on these numbers, and if need be, if a decision comes around or whatever, we will be back to talk about it. Till then, guys, have a good night and be safe.